Hello everyone and welcome to another royal reading. I have the Knights Templar Tarot on the tarot table. I'm going to do a reading now on the first official family portrait that has been released by King Charles. It's a very lovely photograph. It was taken the evening of the royal reception, the night before the funeral for the late Queen. And in it, there is Charles, Camilla, and the new Prince and Princess of Wales, all looking very lovely, very close to each other. It was very symbolic, a King George portrait looking down, sending a very firm message about the endurance of the monarchy. And it was taken the night that Harry and Meghan tried very hard to wrangle an invite to that gathering of royals and dignitaries, politicians, you name it, all the who's who in the world were there. Harry and Meghan very publicly not invited and not welcome there. And the message going out by this photo, according to those in the know, is that this signifies the slim down monarchy. There is no place in the slim down monarchy for Harry and Meghan. Tom Sykes from the Daily Beast referred to it as permanent exile, that King Charles will be absolutely ruthless in his treatment of Harry and Meghan, and that they are facing permanent exile. So we're going to have a look. We're going to do a 5-card reading, one more shuffle. And we're going to ask what message was being sent by King Charles to Harry and Meghan, how they received it, how was the feeling in Montecito when this portrait hit the airwaves, and how they're going to clap back. We know that she in particular likes to clap back, how they're going to respond, and what does this mean for them? Does it really mean permanent exile for Harry and Meghan? Ruthless is a word that one normally uses to describe Scorpios. So perhaps he's not going to be as a soft touch as Meghan imagined he was going to be way back when. And let's remind you that this is a tarot reading for entertainment purposes, or just my opinion or speculation. Disclaimer in the box below. And our underlying energy of this reading is the star. And usually the star is about hope and optimism and faith and healing and all of that kind of stuff. But I'm not reading it that way in this at all. I'm reading it literally as star power. Who has the power? Who has the power in this situation? Not the Harkles. Not the Harkles. Who are the stars, the 4 in the photograph? Not the Harkles. So that's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with importance. We're dealing with how noticeable you are, how high you are up in the firmament. Basically, stars rise and fall, and certain stars have risen and certain have fallen very publicly in the past few weeks in the royal family. So a very interesting card to come out. Let's look at the situation. The signifier for the situation, that is the 9 of Wands. That's somebody who is holding a position, who is making a stand, who is not going to allow people through those barriers. Very, very firm stand against people who want to force their way in through those barriers, boundaries. The 9 of Wands is about setting boundaries. And there it is very clearly. King Charles has ring-fenced the royal family, basically. And he said, these are the ones that are in, and those are the ones that are out. Very, very clearly. There's been movement on the royal website already. There's been no movement on titles for certain children. He's been very, very firm. He's feeling wounded. Interesting, it's the wounded warrior card, the 9 of Wands. He's feeling embattled, he's feeling wounded, he's been through it with the Harkles, that's for sure. This has not been an easy ride the past however long, 4 years or so, longer probably. She arrived on the scene, Meghan, way before then, and the trouble started pretty much simultaneously with her. So it's been a long, hard journey with her. But he knows, he's drawn a line in the sand with this. Couldn't be clearer. So what message was he sending to Harry and Meghan by releasing that photo? And you get the Five of Pentacles. It's literally the exile card. My goodness. We're talking about permanent exile, and up comes the Five of Pentacles. Eclipse in this card, which I always find very interesting depiction. It's one of the reasons why I use this Knights Templar Tarot so much at the moment. They are eclipsed. They are out. The card is in the reverse. But for me, that doesn't mean coming back in from the cold, as you can sometimes read that card in reverse. To me, it means permanent exile. It's permanent exile. Literally, the cards are telling us what Tom Sykes told us. That a ruthless king sending his younger son and his wife into permanent exile. No mistaking that message. How did the Harkles feel when they got the message? Because it was a very clear message. Page of Cups, very emotional. Very, very emotional. I think that there's been some pleading going on. The Page of Cups, it's prayer in this card, showing prayer, beseeching the higher powers, really, imploring, have mercy on me, help. So I think that they were pretty, not devastated, but really expressing their upset. And no, please don't do this. We've seen it with the Danish royals. Very publicly going to the press and saying, I can't believe Granny has done this. She didn't tell us. She hasn't spoken to us. What have we done wrong? Well, hello. Look at yourselves and what you've done. But this is this kind of imploring and beseeching thing. Messages going. The pages are communications. Page of Cups, emotional messages, apologies even. There has been discussion about this. You can't do this to us. You can't cut out your grandchildren, because pages, of course, also are children. So that's quite interesting that was the response. And how they're going to clap back, because as I said in the preamble, we do know that Meghan in particular likes to clap back, although Harry is clapping back in a whole other way by publishing his book. So what are they going to do once they get over this initial desperation? Page of Wands in reverse. They're going to go on a media offensive, and it's going to be very negative. What's new about that? Page of Wands is communications. It's good news when it's upright, positive, energizing, exciting news, dynamic news. In reverse, it's nasty, hostile, attacking kind of news. Trying to take attention away. They're going to try and take attention away from the royals. Anything good that the royals do, they're going to try and grab attention and twist it into something negative. That is my opinion. I'm looking at the cards. I'm interpreting the cards. But it's interesting to me that a card about negative publicity, negative PR is sitting under the card of being under attack and putting up boundaries, raising your defenses, and not letting people in, not letting things through, that Nine of Wands. And Meghan, of course, and Harry have separated from Sunshine Sachs. My reading was that it was Sunshine Sachs that gave them the heave-ho. There is talk that there was a wrangling about money, and finally when the account was settled, that was the end of that. Meghan, now taking responsibility for her own PR, has brought it in-house with somebody that she knows from university, from college. But there's been some very amateur PR being pumped out, cut and paste kind of PR all over Twitter. And Oprah has got in on the act as well, trying to do free PR for the Harkles. So they're pretty desperate. But this is the PR that's being pumped out, the negative stuff, trying to take air away from the royals. And ultimately, does this mean permanent exile? Well, it does, because I've already seen it. But what is the consequence of this going to be ultimately, of this new direction for the royals? And we get the Hanged Man in reverse. Somebody who has been waiting to do something is now free to do it. That would be King Charles. He's been waiting all this time. I think that he's been wanting to take a much firmer stand against the Harkles than the late Queen allowed him to. And he's now free. The Hanged Man, when it's in reverse, cut down from that place where he's been hanging, where he's been disempowered, when he's been in limbo, and where he's been thinking about things while he's been in limbo. He has had a long time to think about this, years to think about this, his response, his plan of attack, when he finally accedes to the throne. He's got there now. He has drawn that line in the sand. He has exiled them. And he is now going to take steps, I think, to make this permanent. That's a card of action, as unlikely as it seems, because it's the Hanged Man. When it's in reverse, it is a card of action. Finally, stopping being the victim of a situation. And Charles, when he was Prince Charles, was permanently in victim mode. He was forced to be passive. He was forced to be reactive rather than proactive. He couldn't clap back. He wasn't allowed to. His hands were tied. His hands have been untied. His hands have also been untied. I saw it in the reading I did on the Danish royals, and that little maneuver, that rather sneaky maneuver, and how it was an invitation to Charles to do the same. And very, very interesting. Harkles, you're in trouble. You're in trouble according to this reading. A big card coming out there. And however much you implore and you beseech and you cry and you love bomb and whatever else, because the Page of Cups has a certain element of love bombing in it as well, you're in trouble. You are in big, big trouble. That's the reading. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.